Football has become the primary sport of the American university. Kansas Wesleyan was no different. Players come from all over America to play this very popular sport. The fan base includes students, the local population, and even administration, but it has not always been this way. It has been through the lowest of lows by going through a season winless to the highest of highs by winning multiple conference championships.
The sport of football first made the sporting gossip in the East in 1869 in the Ivy League schools. The spread of the game was not rapid. It moved at a rather snail pace. The earliest record of a Kansas Wesleyan game is 1893. It was a simple pickup contest against Baker University, the oldest four-year institution in Kansas. There were no individual or team statistics kept for the game. No one knows who participated for the teams. The only thing that is available is the score. Baker crushed Wesleyan 44-0. Following the rout, Kansas Wesleyan's faculty and administration canceled all further attempts at football for the next 5 years.
The first real football team was the 1903 Wesleyan squad. It was coached and captained by A.B. Cowden, a student who also started at fullback. October 17th marked the low point of the 1903 season. The Fairmount Wheat Shockers, forerunners of Wichita State, dumped Wesleyan 33-0. There were so many injuries to the Kansas Wesleyan players that a second team had to be organized to finish the season. Wesleyan finished against high schools, winning 16-0 over Salina High School and 8-0 over St. John's Military Academy. The team finished 3-3 overall, but was 0-3 against college competition.
There was no team fielded in 1904. However, in 1905, Cowden was again named Wesleyan's coach. For the first time, the team was given a nickname, the Cadets. Wesleyan finished the 1905 season with 3 wins and a big loss to the Aggies of Kansas State. This came during a season when football had its worst national reputation for roughness. 18 deaths and 153 serious injuries were reported from the sport nationwide in 1905. In 1906, Wesleyan played just one game, losing 40-0 to the powerful Fairmount Wheat Shockers. The 1907 squad managed one tie against 2 losses. Wesleyan dropped games to Fairmount and Cooper College, which is now Sterling College, before ending the season with a 0-0 tie against Salina High School.
The 1908 club was coached by C.L. Williams, Wesleyan's first non-player coach. The season's 7-3 record was good, especially the improved 3-3 mark against college teams. The 1908 season would be the final season where non-college teams were scheduled. Dropping the high schools from the schedule chopped the 1909 schedule back to 3 games. Wesleyan, with graduation losses from 1908, finished 1-2 overall. Football was canceled after the 1909 season at Kansas Wesleyan, perhaps to experiment with a less expensive basketball program.
Less money was needed to field basketball and baseball teams, and the players were not as prone to injury, which added additional medical costs to the football budget. Football was shelved. Part of the reason had to be the fact that, in 1910, the campus was split into 2 distinct student bodies, the Business College in downtown Salina and an academic community at the Kansas Wesleyan campus. The male enrollment of both halves was not sufficient to support an expanded athletic program. Football remained canceled for the next 4 years.
Over the next few years, there started to become major changes in the game of football. Besides the invention of the single wing formation, the most important development in the game during these years was the improvement of protective headgear and shoulder pads. The new gear was a tremendous advantage over earlier equipment. The game became safer for the players.
The 1915 season represented the peak of Kansas Wesleyan football before World War I. With a 5-4 record, Wesleyan finished 4-3 in the Kansas Intercollegiate Athletic Association. Rex Stevens was the first Coyote ever to receive postseason recognition on the All-State team. If 1915 was one of the better years, 1916 must rank as the worst. The team was hit hard by many of their players graduating and only 2 veterans returned to the squad. Many of the newcomers had never played the game before. The Salina Journal reported, "Football is in a precarious position at Kansas Wesleyan." The Coyotes scored just 3 points to their opponent's 326. Wesleyan finished the season with an 0-8 record.
On November 20th, 1917, after 2 years of frustration, the Coyotes snapped a 16-game losing streak, defeating Chillicothe Bible College 13-6. 5 months later, World War I drained away the football talent of 1918. Like many other schools, Wesleyan postponed football and basketball for the duration of the war.
After the war, there was a major change coming to the campus of Kansas Wesleyan. Before the 1921 season, Wesleyan's administration decided to hire a full-time coach and potential athletic director. They hired a man from Ohio named Alexander Brown Mackey. Mackey inherited a football program which had seen just 25 wins in the first 16 seasons. His first 3 years were his only 3 losing seasons. He served as Wesleyan's athletic director from 1921 through 1938. Under Mackey's guidance, the football team rapidly improved until his teams ruled the Kansas Conference, winning championships in 1927, 1929, 1931, and 3 back-to-back-to-back crowns in 1934, 35, and 36. 50% of Wesleyan's championship football teams were produced during the Mackey years. Mackey was the beginning. He took a football program with a dismal 25, 48, and 4 overall record and improved it drastically.
During the 1941 season, Wesleyan had a very solid year. They ended their season with a 6-1-2 record and a 4-0-1 Kansas College Athletic Conference record, winning the conference championship. The 1942 season was very close to another conference title. They finished their season with a 3-1-2 record, their only loss coming to their rival, Baker University. After the game, the Salina Journal stated the officiating was less than perfect. They also stated that referee Buck Astle was making stubborn calls.
For example, on the final play, Kansas Wesleyan's defense made a goal line stand against Baker's running attack on the 1-yard line. The 2 lines collided, and the 3 officials signaled that the ball had not crossed the plane of the end zone. Astle, however, ran from behind the defense, and after he found where the ball was spotted, he signaled touchdown. No matter what the other officials said, he would not change the call. The Wesleyan crowd was furious, and following the game, they surrounded Astle and started pushing, shoving, and shouting at him. It was Wesleyan's only loss of the season.
Gene Bissell was the next head football coach at Kansas Wesleyan. He had a fantastic career at Wesleyan. He held the position for an incredible 30 seasons from 1950 to 1994, with assistant coaching jobs at both ends. During those 30 years, he led the Coyotes to 5 conference championships. The first 2 were back-to-back seasons in 1956 and 1957. The other 3 were in 1967, 1969, and 1971. Conference championships did you win?
5.
5?
Yeah.
What years?
56, 57, 67, 71, and 69.
In 69? Okay.
Yeah.
What made those years so special?
Had good players.
Good players?
Or the main, you know. What was unique about the 56 team had all Kansas kids, and mostly Salina High kids.
Oh, okay.
The running back was the second leading rusher in the nation. And it just had some good football players.
Yeah. What year would you say was your best team?
Well, probably 1971. 1971, probably. But the best team was the 56 team. But the 71 had so many good players that they never quite cohesed, but still won a championship.
Yeah.
The running back played with Giants, with the New York Giants on the squad for 3 years. So he was pretty good. He might be the best player I ever coached.
Okay.
During those back-to-back conference title seasons, he had the same record of 8 wins and 1 loss. In the 1956 season, they outscored their opponents by a staggering 219 points, and in the 1957 season by 126 points. After his amazing run as head coach at Wesleyan, he continued his coaching career as an assistant until the 94 season. Coach Bissell ranks first in all-time wins at Wesleyan with 91 wins. His overall win-to-loss record is 91 wins and 96 losses and 6 ties. His all-time winning percentage ranks 9th among Wesleyan football coaches. Despite Coach Bissell's 500 mark, he is responsible for modernizing the sport of football here at Kansas Wesleyan University.